It's official, folks. The Toronto Raptors are tanking the 2023-2024 season. I know the trade deadline still ways away, or at least a couple weeks away. It's not imminent. The roster still might have some shakeups. We might fix this team, whatever the heck you think. But after this performance against the Memphis Grizzlies, it's clear what Masai Ujiri's plan is. And it's been revealed. It's on display here in this game here tonight. And it's going to be on display for the rest of the season. Because the Toronto Raptors have some great players on this team. I mean, just in this game here right now, Scotty Barnes, 22, 12, 8, 6 blocks, 6 of 14 from the field, the 5 turnovers. We'll talk about, some of the deep dives in the players. But Scotty Barnes, a remarkable basketball player. RJ Barrett is looking like a steal from the New York Knicks. He's had one bad. People talked about him being inconsistent. They talked about him being a guy that, isn't that dude. Well, RJ Barrett, with the exception of one game, has been phenomenal for the Toronto Raptors for his entire sort of tenure with this team. Tonight, 29 points, 9 boards, attacking the rim, 12 of 18 from the field, misses threes, but just gets the basket at will. Emmanuel Quickly Young, again, streaky, figuring out his own team, but still had 10 assists and not the greatest of performances here tonight. Gary Trent Jr. still shooting over 40% from the field. I mean, we have some good players on this team. Schroeder's a solid backup. We'll talk about his performance in this one. But what the Toronto Raptors' plan is for this season. Now, Masai could prove me wrong with some trades or stuff that's going to go down in the coming weeks. But Masai knows that we have some solid players, some quality players, some players that the Raptors were racking up wins, while Jakob Poeltl was in the lineup with these groups. But Masai Ujiri knows from experience, if you don't have a quality big man, and now if you don't have a quality front court, you can lose a lot of games, no matter how talented the rest of your roster is. So Masai Ujiri is going to take this season, and looking at that starting lineup, Jontay Porter is a guy that, again, prospect, developing, cool. I think he's going to be a good, solid, sort of rotational big man at some point if he stays healthy, if he develops and stuff. But he's not a starting caliber center. We run Jontay Porter at the center position, kind of rest Poeltl, exaggerate this ankle injury that Jakob Poeltl's had this season. Run Jontay Porter out there. Thaddeus Young had a great game, especially down the stretch, and the Raptors are making one of those fake comebacks. But again, he's only 6'7". Chris Boucher's not getting that much run. I think Boucher could actually help on the defense end. I guess Boucher just still looks a little bit just out of it at times. I mean, look at how small the lineups are that we're running, with the exception of Jontay Porter. And again, quality players, top tier guys. The team is competing. They're doing the best they can. But then you watch the other side in every game. Tonight was Jaren Jackson Jr., who had 27 points, was unguardable, especially early on, and then hit some clutch threes late with his messed up hand or whatever. The Raptors just have no interior presence. And frankly, we are going to lose a lot of games if we continue to have no interior presence. So Masai Ujiri looks at this season and says, hey, trading away, as constructed, to keep talent on the roster, you're not going to be able to get into that bottom 6, because if people aren't familiar, the Raptors traded away their first round pick this season in a deal that happened last year to acquire Jakob Poeltl. And basically, if it doesn't, if the pick falls outside the range of 1 through 6, the pick gets sent to the San Antonio Spurs. So ideally, the Toronto Raptors want to be in the bottom 6 in the league. And tonight, we played the Memphis Grizzlies, and we sort of jumped them in terms of pick odds, pick probability of jumping into the top 4, staying in the top 6, all that type of stuff. So if we get to that 5-6 range, the Raptors are going to be golden. And frankly, if we continue to play, I mean, if Jakob Poeltl's not in the lineup, if we don't run a center for this season, this team will lose games, even though we're trying, even though we're not sort of instilling a losing culture, all this type of stuff. Our players can be competitive, because games like the Detroit Pistons and stuff, team morale is just brutal. There are some positives to take away from these games. So there is that. Again, tanking multiple years at a time will ruin a player's, mental and stuff. But even if we keep Jakob Poeltl on contract, just sit him. Just blame it on that ankle injury. Blame it on something. The Raptors will be able to tank the rest of this year. There's no other way to put it. I wouldn't be shocked if Masai Ujiri ends up trading Poeltl for draft compensation. Apparently, from the reports, the Raptors do like Jakob Poeltl. They like his value long term. It would be a bad look to sort of deal him away here now at this point. But I mean, if they load up at the guard position, if they load up, this sort of group that they have going now, and then sort of readjust the roster, make it all make sense in the off season, we get our draft pick, then we're rolling into next year with our pick, the Pacers pick, the Thunder pick, and the Detroit Pistons second round pick. We have a lot of cap space to sort of build up this team. This could be a quick little 1 year turnaround, in terms of where we're actively trying to lose. And frankly, the way this season's going here now at this point, I think it might not be a bad idea. We know Masai Ujiri traded away Pascal. We know he traded away OG Anunoby. So, for younger pieces. But there was hope being held out that, hey, maybe this team will be able to turn around with this group. The young guys, especially while Pascal was still on the roster. Hey, maybe this is sort of a nice shakeup. This team looks scary, all that type of stuff. Well, this loss to the Grizzlies, and specifically with the Grizzlies, and, the Grizzlies right now are without Ja Morant, without Desmond Bane. Jaren Jackson Jr. had his hand thing going, but at least he played in this one. Marcus Smart's out. They're without a lot of teams. This is a borderline, I don't want to call it a G League team because their starting unit's pretty solid, but this is not a great Memphis Grizzlies team by any means. The fact that they're so tight to us in the standings, this game very much indicates to me the Toronto Raptors are tanking this season. Even if they're not trying to lose, we're trying to tank while still instilling, winning attitude and things like that. But if we just play without a center, play the right way without a center, then get a center for next season, I think that's the plan Masai Ujiri has. So, my opinion, I think Boucher's getting dealt. I think Bruce Brown's getting dealt. I wouldn't be shocked if guys like Schroeder or something. All the vets on this team are just out. Keep Thaddeus Young. Because, again, he's quality. He does the right things out there on the court. Gorgeous dimes. He gets to the dunker spot, from Scotty Barnes. I mean, I think we're just blowing it up here now at this point. Now, what does that mean for Toronto Raptors fans? It means we are rooting for the Brooklyn Nets. We are rooting for the Atlanta Hawks. And we are rooting for the Memphis Grizzlies to win as many games as possible. The Portland Trailblazers as well. We want all of these teams to win. Because I don't think we're realistically going to catch Charlotte unless one of these teams starts playing really well or something like that. There's no hope for the Detroit Pistons, the Washington Wizards, the Spurs, the Hornets. Maybe those teams, Wembanyama goes crazy or if they do something. But again, the Spurs, it seems like the Hornets. The Hornets have some players, but I mean, they're tanking here now at this point as well. I mean, the Blazers and the Memphis Grizzlies are the two teams that we're really hoping win games, and the Brooklyn Nets might they don't want to bottom out because their pick goes to Houston, so maybe we have less to worry about there. They might be buyers at this year's trade deadline. The Atlanta Hawks, again, are a team that could potentially blow it up. I mean, these teams, right? The Raptors, we need to sort of start losing in a hurry. So it looks like that's the case. It looks like that's the way for this group. I mean, it sucks to say I don't like rooting against this team, but the lack of draft pick has made this year's tank much more desperate than it would be in sort of previous seasons. So, I don't know. All I know is animations are getting cooked up here on the Raptors Digest. We're getting new batch of graphics sort of in the wings to move forward this new era of Raptors basketball. Lots of stuff happening. So, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. I mean, takeaways from this game. I mean, Schroeder's taking a lot of shots. Thaddeus Young, I thought, played solid, but again, is 6'7" center for this group right now. RJ is a beast. Quickly, rough game, but I still like his potential. Gary, at least he's hitting his threes now at this point. Again, didn't do much otherwise, but you might be able to net some value from him in the open market. It is what it is. This group, we're tanking. It's gonna be a different season this year. So we'll see how it all shakes out. You guys are the best way as far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. I'm signing out. Cheers.